Hi, thank you for joining me today. And thank you for an amazing session we just saw now. It was an amazing demonstration of the capabilities of this new agentic loop. I will still call it the smart orchestration. Agentic loop doesn't really show its true capabilities. My first.
We'll give marketing that feedback.
So I am so excited about this, obviously, and I have been writing about it, but I really want to know what was the purpose of coming up with this idea. I know that you have been working for a while and thinking and figuring out how this will go.
So if we think, rewind the clock, maybe a year and a half, we started to introduce connectors for Azure OpenAI, AI search. And it started really around, also there was like parse document, chunk document, some of the tooling type stuff. And it was really just an evolution, I would say, where we started with RAG, the ability to ingest data, then go ahead and search over those vectors. And, that was kind of a unique capability. From there, it evolved into like using chat completions where you could go ahead and basically like issue a prompt and be able to get a response and then react to that output and then use flow control and make a bunch of decisions. I think the challenge was more around like, okay, so what about a multi-turn exchange with the model? And so multi-turn meaning like, hey, I get some feedback. It might not be quite what I'm looking for. So I need to go back to the model and sort of make some suggestions in order to sort of get to the outcome that I'm looking for. Previously that was manual, and we actually had done a demo. Actually, it was Divya that did the demo, and it was like, no, you wouldn't have seen it, but it was like, we sort of used do while. We used do while, and we had some conditions, and there was a lot of sort of manual steps that you could that you could implement in order to sort of implement a quote unquote agent. And that's where just Agent Loop just sort of emerged, in part due to partnership with our engineering, where they were looking at, semantic kernel and some of the capabilities, the planning and orchestration capabilities around that. And then how could we basically leverage that inside of Logic apps so that it truly does become this multi-turn experience. So even though you don't like the term agent loop, it's actually fairly intuitive in the sense that it is really multi-turn. And when we think about tools and the ability to orchestrate across tools, it is round tripping, between the tools and the model in order to achieve an objective or a goal. And it will go until it sort of reaches that, or you tell it to stop. So that's kind of.
I will still defend the term orchestration because I will explain it later.
That's fair. So did you want to add?
We are also like, this is a space which is evolving very fast. Rapid innovation is going on, so we are also learning as things are changing. And one of the things we have seen as we had started talking about when we started bringing RAG based scenarios was there was little hesitation, right? And also perception from customers that about the risk and about the fact that how can I delegate everything to an agent? And I think that's where like Agent Loop and we looked at what we offer in our platform in terms of a lot of connectors, but more importantly, the ability to keep a human in the loop and let them be the decision maker and have agent be a supporter, have agent support them in what they are doing versus like having everything to be done by agent. And I think this is very powerful that that Logic apps can offer, where you can bring in your existing investments, your existing application footprint, your existing thought process around solving problems in a deterministic way, but then use Agent Loop as a way to go after more complex problems where you need more adaptability, adaptive decision making, and then delegate those problems to an agent. So that's why like I feel we are very uniquely positioned to offer that, and that was another reason where this whole concept got us very exciting, and the problems that we can solve for customers.
That's cool. You have been really touching about a really important aspect of that. Well, I will just get back to the. Now I'm not repeating it, but it's just the orchestration type of things, and why I call that a black swan. I think this is the black swan of integration. I think this is will be changing our mindset and how we need to break down and think about our workflows as tools instead of just workflows that's hard-coded together. So we're gonna be designing in a different way. But that's my own understanding. I would like to hear what was your, when you are releasing that, I think you had a vision. You had something, you are expecting some kind of a reaction or a perfect use case from the people who are using that. And you understand also that people will maybe develop in another vision, their own vision. So what was the product team vision when releasing that? An expectation of use.
Well, so I could start and you can fill in as well. So the way I kind of look at it is that, historically Logic Apps has been a deterministic tool, and that's not a bad word, right? So people shouldn't think of it as a bad word. When you think about integration, what are the expectations of the customer? There's predictability, there's reliability, and there's consistency. All of those kind of have a cost associated with them, right? Like you need to build it in such a manner that it is consistent, and that's what the business is expecting. Now, the flip side of that is that it does kind of limit or constrain what solutions you can provide, because every sort of business sort of use case requires you to go through like a similar process in order to codify those requirements and implement the solution. So if we think about like agents in general, like the sort of the general definition is like given a goal or objective, and once providing a model and a set of tools, go ahead and sort of orchestrate that process until you've reached that objective. So if you think about that just by nature, what we can actually offer here is, I would say, more flexibility, where we can say, okay, these are the tools that you have access to. This is the business objective. And in this scenario where you need to like expand and add more use cases, there's going to be some opportunities where you can really just change the prompt in order to enable those particular scenarios. So the way I look at it is like deterministic workflows is not going away. They still have a place. People should use them when they need that predictability, and or maybe it's throughput, or maybe it's large message sizes. But then on the flip side, think of all of those use cases that have been difficult to go ahead and actually integrate. Generally, if you think about like semi-structured data or unstructured data, that's a huge pain if you're trying to do that in a deterministic way. So it's more in my mind, like they complement each other, and it gives you more reach to go solve those business automation problems. And, I think what's unique about our offering is that we do embrace this notion of like deterministic and non-deterministic or agentic in the same solution, where there might be parts of your process where you want that consistency and you can implement that, and that's great. And then there's parts where you're going to like want more flexibility and more sort of loosely coupled services, and we'll give you that too. So I think if this is complementary of each other, customers and partners should not feel like they're throwing away existing investments. This is more additive, and I think it's more of like better together and actually expands the surface area for the problem set that you can actually go ahead and solve.
I think Kent has covered it very well. I don't think I have much to add here. The only thing I think I would just add here is like, using agents isn't really a binary choice, right? And people should people should be comfortable with whatever level of agentic applications they want to build in. And that's where we provide them, instead of this Boolean choice, we are providing them essentially a slider, right? That you can go as much agentic as you want to go in, and take your time and do your analysis and find the right use cases and go on your AI journey. So I think that's the power we are giving them. We are making them the decision makers, and with human in the loop, again, they are in full control of everything.
That sounds good. And again, you touch on the next question, which is the most important, I think, and what the people want to hear. What the skill that from now on the architects and developers need to start to adapt to, what they should start to gain now?
Well, I would say as a starting point, all of your existing Logic App skills remain relevant. So, and I think so for existing customers, you're already one step ahead. I would say for new customers, guess what? Like we've got a low barrier of entry to go ahead and build agents. So I think that's kind of step number one. I think another like step number 2 in my mind, and we sat through a lot of sessions this week at Build, and there was discussion around models, and I think what was important outcome or learning from me is just how important models are. Models have a lot of impact on cost, on performance, on accuracy. And so this idea that you can actually use the right model for the right job is something that people need to think about. Now, what's pretty cool, like shout out to the AI Foundry team, is that they have this kind of leaderboard sort of chart that talks about the different models and like how they perform, and also recommendations on the type of model that might be useful for your scenario. So if you think about, you might have like these finely tuned models that benefit your particular scenario. That's where there's probably some investment required for customers, is to learn what are the strengths and weaknesses of certain models so that they can optimize for better outcomes in their solutions, but also make sure that they've optimized for cost and performance. Because if you don't need a really large model, then don't use a really large model, use a smaller model that will sort of address your needs. And I think there's some concepts like model routing, which gets kind of interesting as well. So at least those are some of the things I think about, but
Yeah, definitely +1 to everything that Ken said. And I think one additional skill that people will have to, people will automatically pick up is around defining prompts, right? Because as you're building your agents, it's very important to define what the goal, define their personality essentially, right? What they're supposed to do, and even more importantly, what they're not supposed to do. So ground them in business data, ground them in your organization's knowledge sources, and define the boundaries for them within which they should be taking actions, making decisions. And all of this comes through system prompt, through user instructions. And I think that's a skill that most people who are getting into building AI agents will build and will learn and build over time.
so I'm gonna just a follow up to that. So that's a great point. And so like shout out to Stephen Thomas, who put out a video about Agent Loop. And actually what he did was he took his prompts that he wrote himself and he went to, I can't remember if it was ChatGPT or some other like chat surface, and actually said, optimize this prompt. And it actually came back and had a more sort of, this is his words, right? Like more, better rounded prompt. And so that's another thing, is people can use AI to help them with their prompts too. So don't be shy about doing that, because at the end of the day, it's like, especially as you're learning, like, how do you get better? Well, lean on AI to help with that too.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a great point, prompting, because when I explain stuff, sometimes I overreact and overthink it, and I just try too much. Maybe I don't need that. Use AI to chunk it down. And I would like also to add business process, because without deep knowledge on the business process, you will not have a success in this agentic and implementation of AI, I think. But great, then I will head to my last question, because I know also that we are having really long days here with a lot of sessions, so I don't want to keep you for a long time. So what is the upcoming? What should we wait for?
So start with Divya on that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is an exciting space, and we're just beginning, right? Like there is so much we want to do, and of course, like we would love to hear from customers on what resonates with them, what do they want us to bring into the product. But in terms of like some of the things we are looking at, um, we have talked and showed agent demos at Build today in last 3 days. Um, but we have also like a lot of demos that we have uploaded, and people will see that some of the things that we have in those demos are not yet available. Things like codeful workflows, some support around very deep and rich multi-agent scenarios. So while we do support multi-agent applications through nested workflows, as well as by chaining the agents, we are bringing in a more first-class support of state machines in Logic apps, and that would allow you to build more sophisticated multi-agent applications. So I think I'm really excited about it. The other one I think is something that everybody's talking about here is around these standards or protocols for communication between agents, the A2A protocol, for agents to communicate and connect with different services, which is the MCP protocol. So these are again, these are the two standards that we will be bringing into Logic Apps very soon. Yeah, and maybe I'll hand over to you.
Well, I just wanted to double click on the Codeful one. That was the one I wanted to double click. So if you think about today, Logic Apps, low code, declarative workflow, it is one of those low barrier of entries, and by all means, we are continuing to sort of support those use cases. But Codeful really does create some unique opportunities for customers, both from a deterministic sort of approach where you're building these Codeful workflows, you're leveraging our connectors, you're leveraging our other building blocks that are part of the platform, but also this now ability to call agent loop from within those Codeful workflows as well. And so, this is where Logic Apps truly has some unique capabilities here in the sense that we will be the only platform in Microsoft that will give you both declarative and codeful agent capabilities in a single platform. So this really gives customers optionality, but also allows you to leverage your existing skills, but also your existing deployment models where guess what? The way you deploy Codeful workflows is exactly the same way you do with declarative low code, right? You still go through CI/CD. It's still in the context of a Logic app. It's still in the context of a workflow service plan. So you still have all of those same processes and building blocks, but you can actually go ahead and use the right tool for you and your organization. And if you want, you can also mix and match. So you can go from Codeful calling low code, or you can go low code calling, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. So this is truly a unique capability. We did have an announcement just yesterday. It's technically in private preview. There is a sign up form. If that is something of interest to you, we'd love to sort of follow up and then just let's go. Let's see where it takes us next. But that I think is exciting, and I think for customers that are just sort of looking for more of that Codeful experience, you now have that capability, or you will have that capability. And in the meantime, we will continue to fully support low code too. And I think it's just a win-win.
Yes, I believe so too. And you got me on MCP. That's gonna be another game changer. And I'm looking forward to play with that. See what value can we deliver with that. I think we will just be faster and more efficient, I guess. But yeah, thank you for your time. And is there any call to action now that we need to give out there to people?
So I'm going to put Wagner on the spot here. So, we do want people to go out and try Agent Loop. We want to go ahead and see what you come up with. I think this is a situation where people can be really creative in terms of how they can solve a business problem using Agent Loop. So do look out for a contest we'll host here soon where we'll have a sort of call for videos and people coming up with their offerings, and we'll love to highlight those to the rest of the community as well. So stay tuned for that.
That's cool. So you hear him. You hear him, guys. So let's just start now to train our skills on this, because there is a context coming. And yeah, let's see how this will take us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.